Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So a couple of weekends ago, I shot a SEFTA Winter League shoot, and to get from where we parked to the actual course of fire at this particular ground, we had to walk up and down about 2 farmers' fields to get to the course itself and the clubhouse. In short, you weren't wanting to make this trip twice, so you had to take everything you needed with you. It was about -4.5 degrees when we pulled up in the car park, and I had to make this yomp across these fields with my gun case in one hand, my bottle in another hand, a cushion in a hand I didn't even have, and all the time slapping me on the back was my range bag, which led me to ask the question, what the hell's in my range bag anyway? Welcome back guys. So today's video is all about what's in my field target range bag, but in a broader sense, it's really about what do you need to take with you if you're going to go and shoot a field target competition, or indeed you're just going for a day out on the range. Let's find out. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is a range bag, and this is mine. Now, I know what you're thinking, this looks like a teenage boy or teenage girl's school bag, and you'd be right. It's my 14-year-old daughter's school bag, or it was before I purloined it. So I did have a range bag, which again was another sort of backpack, but after many years of faithful service, unfortunately, it died. So I've inherited this, my daughter's old school bag. So the first point here is you really don't need an expensive range bag. You don't need something in drab olive or flat earth. You just need something that's going to be comfortable, it's going to be rugged enough, and it's going to be big enough to take everything you need. Now, personally, I've always preferred some sort of backpack because, as we said in the intro, if you're going to be carrying your gun case in one hand, your cushion or your bottle or your lunchbox or something in another hand, you want to try and have as much free as possible. So backpack works for me. Now, I would say that you really want something, obviously you want a big main compartment. This isn't the biggest, I'm not exactly sure how many litres this is, and you really want a few pockets to stash sort of different parts of your kit in. Now this one unfortunately only has one singular front pocket here, hasn't got any side pockets, which my old bag did, and I also had an integral bag, pocket I should say, at the top of my old bag as well, which is really useful. This hasn't got those things, but hey, my parents were from the generation of mend and make good, or waste not, want not. So here we go. Okay, so let's dive straight in and see what's in the bag. Actually, I'll start with the front pocket here. See what we got in here. Okay, so still in use that week I spoke about. I've got some hand warmers. These are the type that have the chemical reaction that you kind of shake and they sort of warm up in your pockets. These ones are pretty old now. In fact, I think I inherited them, to be honest. They take about 3 hours to warm up, but still pretty good. Obviously, these days you can get an electric hand warmer. You've obviously got your old charcoal style hand warmers, but definitely a useful piece of kit. A whistle. So obviously if you're gonna, or certainly on a field target course, pretty universal. 1 whistle to stop shooting, 2 whistles to recommence firing. So for example, if there's a problem with a target, the marshal will blow a whistle, go out, fix the problem, come back. When it's all clear, blow 2 whistles, you can recommence firing again. And the other thing I've got in here is just some old serviettes, which at first glance don't seem very useful, but it's always worth keeping a few tissues in your pack. If you go to a shoot and it's raining, chances are you might get rain on your lens, or if it's a cold day, we've all done it, accidentally breathe on your lens, can't see a thing. Remember, if you're in competition, you're going to be on the clock. So you really need something you can quickly whip out your pocket, wipe the lens off, and away you go again. So that's my front pocket. Okay, going to the main body of the bag. Okay, so at this time of year, I've still got my sort of winter accessories kit. So when I shoot with boots, trousers. I do take a pair of over trousers with me as well. I shoot in a Geeman sort of 10-meter style jacket, which is just canvas, hasn't got a lot of insulation. I have a long sleeve thermal and probably a gilet sort of underneath that. And then to add to that, what we got a nice North Face snood, very handy piece of kit. Keeps your neck warm, especially in those 10-meter jackets because they're usually very low cut. I've got some sealskin gloves. Love these. This is my second pair of sealskin gloves. Not sponsored, just saying. The thing I really like about them, so these are obviously shooting gloves. So you've got a nice soft leather palm, got waterproof, rip-proof material on the back, easy Velcro buckle. But the main thing is you've got cutaway fingers for your trigger finger. And if you're also adjusting your scope. And these are actually on magnets. Don't know if you can sort of see that magnet there. So they just snap back. So you can just take them off, flick them back, and you're ready to go. So I'd imagine whether you're hunting, you're doing competition, really, really handy. Love these. This particular pair I've probably had for 4 or 5 years. They're still going strong. There's no sort of real rips or tears in them. Brilliant. Okay, what's next? Also got a knee pad. So again, if you're doing FT, you're shooting sort of off the knee with your forend or your hamster, and that can really sort of dig into your kneecap. You've got bony kneecaps like me. So I've got this knee protector. I actually shoot at the moment with trousers. They're airsoft trousers, I think, and they've actually got an integral pad on them. A lot of people shoot with sort of workman's kind of trousers on, or where you can put the inserts in over the knee. So generally speaking, you definitely want some kind of knee protection if you can find it. Okay, so lastly, on the clothing front here, got my lucky loophole hat. It's not really been that lucky, but I've shot some pretty reasonable scores with it. The other thing I like with this is it's got a kind of sort of semi-waxy, semi-waterproof sort of material to it. And the other thing, which actually I've taken out of my bag now, because when I'm shooting this, we're just sort of heading into March here, but I would normally have a sort of woolly hat as well, which I can stick over the top because I find that irritates my head a lot of the time. So if I put the hat on and then put the hat over that, the woolly hat over that, then that stops you irritating your head. To be fair, apart from keeping your head warm and also dry, again, if you're shooting outdoors, as you guys will know, you really need the peak on your cap, which really helps with stopping the sun coming down your scope. So very handy. Right, what do we got next? Oh yes, essential piece of kit. The box is really beaten up, but what we got here is a laser rangefinder. So I can get it out. So this is mine, Nikon Pro Staff. You can see I've had it a long time. I've worn the writing away. So yeah, laser rangefinder, essential piece of kit. The first thing you want to do when you turn up at the practice range is check your range finding. So that's always the first thing I do before I check my zero, my windage, elevation, anything like that. If your ranges are out, nothing you do after that point is worth it anyway. So for me, maybe I'm a bit cynical, but I never quite trust the ranges that are marked on the boards when you go to various different clubs. I'm not saying they're deliberately wrong, guys. I'm just saying that, you know, you want to make sure it's set up for you. So laser rangefinder, can't go wrong. Zap, zap, zap. Something near, something middle, something far. Check them on your scope. If everything is lines up, fantastic. If it doesn't, maybe it's a hot day, depending on your scope. Maybe you're over-ranging slightly, or if it's a cold day, maybe you're under-ranging slightly. Yeah, as long as it's consistent, you can obviously adjust for that. On the fly, we'll just go through taking off a couple of yards, and you should be good. In tandem to this, actually, I have got, now this isn't a piece of kit I would suggest you need to take every week with you. I have got my tape measure. At the end of the day, you know, temperature can affect the scopes. You know, I don't know, climatic conditions might even affect the rangefinder. Nothing's going to affect a piece of tape. Now, I have run these both out together, and there's probably, I don't know, maybe 6 inches difference from the tape to the laser rangefinder. So when I set my parallax up and my range markings, I tend to split the difference between them. 3 inches here or there isn't going to make much odds. Right, what's next? A whip. So this is the whip for my bottle. I've got a Foster fitting that I'm running currently on my Anschuts, and this always stays in my bag, not with my bottle. You know, sometimes you'll go to shoots, particularly if you go to international shoots, and there'll be bottles provided, which is great, but you might be able to guarantee you can get air. You might not be able to guarantee you can actually get to the air. Certainly I remember shooting at the World Championships in Italy in maybe 2011. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, we got there, loads of bottles, fantastic, no whips. So, and they only had like screw-on sort of valves. So I was about the only person who remembered to take their whip with them. So I was Mr. Popular, very popular for the first sort of day or two until some whips started appearing, because I was the only one who'd bought one with me, and meant that anyone could fill their bottles. So always keep it with me, just in case. You can usually catch a fill. Someone's going to have a bottle somewhere. They won't necessarily have your particular adapter fitting. So if I keep that in the bag, I know I should be okay. Right, next up, being optimistic, some sunglasses. These are actually Napier shooting glasses, which are pretty snazzy. I think you'll agree. Sorry about that. So yeah, again, if you're out and about, nice hot sunny day, but you're on the range for a long time, personally, I can get headaches in sort of really bright light. So a pair of sunglasses, stick on top of the cap, look cool, do a job. Right, next up, we've got, oh, this is a good one. Teas and coffees. Gotta have some teas and coffees with you guys, wherever you go. So usually, and I haven't got it in here for today for this review, but I'll take a flask of hot water with me, get some milks, some tea, some coffee, sachets, wherever you go, you can have a brew. You know how us Brits love a brew. Piece of kit. Similarly, I always take a little medical pack with me, just a few plasters, a bit of bite spray, a bit of anti-mozzie spray. So again, a lot of the time you're shooting it, especially in the summer in the UK, long grass, in the woods, sometimes you just get eaten alive. So always worth having this kind of stuff in there. I've also got some paracetamol, some ibuprofen. I'm not getting any younger. Sometimes the knees ache after a shoot, the back aches after a shoot. You got a long drive home, down a couple of them, nice strong coffee from Starbucks, you're on your way. What's next? Just got some pegs here for holding targets. Again, you probably don't necessarily need these unless you're shooting down the range all the time, but I keep them in there because otherwise I'd forget them because I'm an idiot. Then we've got a little pack here. So here I've just got some VP90 spray here. So basically you just carry this around. Again, you're out and about, it's been a wet day, a wet shoot. You may be shooting 2, 3, 4, 5 hour journey home. You don't want to put a soaking wet gun back in the box. So what I do is I've got a cloth in the box, spray the cloth, give it a wipe over with a bit of VP90, which is phase corrosion inhibitor, but my gun hasn't rusted since I've been using it, and you're all good. And then we just got a bit of tape for marking your side wheel. Again, you never know when you're going to need that. And here I've got some Lubro Technic barrel cleaner. These bottles like last forever. This is cleaner degreaser. So I'm a big believer in pulling the barrels through, guys. Pulling them through. Don't ever rod an air rifle barrel. Unnecessary. Okay. Again here, little Combro there. Pretty old one. I'm not even sure this is like I don't know what model or make they're on now, but this is absolutely ancient. I know a lot of people aren't keen on these. Is it as consistent or reliable as, you know, some of my other chronos? No, of course it isn't, but you can literally just pop this straight onto the front of your barrel. If you're on the zero range, you think, like, I've got a few issues here, strap it on, bang, 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 what it will do is give you a consistent reading. It might not be the same as your other chronos, but it will be consistent. So with this one, I know this usually gives me a reading about 10 feet per second lower than my other chronos. So if I factor that in, it gives me an idea of what's happening. I know if I've got an issue or not, sort my power out on the 0 range within a few shots, and you're back up and running. Otherwise, you're really just shooting in the dark effectively. You don't know what you're doing and what's going wrong. Okay, and then the main meat in the sandwich is my little toolkit. So obviously this is not my full toolkit. I've got boxes of stuff, as we all have at home, with various bits of kit in. This is just what I take with me on the day. So there's not going to be, you can't necessarily fix everything on the day, but to be honest, you can fix pretty much almost anything. I mean, I've seen, you know, I've seen a lot of guys like you know, Nick Murphy or Steve Privet with his spring guns, completely stripped down, you know, replace springs, seals, just everything amazing. But for us and the everyday shooter, just want a little bit of kit with you. You're going to take down the range, which means you can keep shooting, or if you go to a comp and you realise you've got a problem on the 0 range, you've got half a chance, you've got a basic toolkit with you that you're going to be able to hopefully put right any of those issues. So we'll have a little look through this. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we've got in here. So first things first, pretty straightforward, a pair of scissors. Obviously going to use those to perhaps cut our tape that we had for our range markings. This is essential little torque key that I use. This is for the turrets on my Cytron. Essential piece of kit. I've got a little double-ended Foster valve here. So this is so I can basically refill from bottle to bottle. I've got a little day tripper bottle as well that I can use. What else we got in here? A little bit of pellet lube. You can use it as pellet lube if you need to. You can use it to pull your barrel through with. It'll work just as well. Oh, essential piece of kit again. Little bubble there. Use that when you're setting up your scope. Make sure obviously you're level and you haven't got any cant. I've got some old cleaning pellets here. Not a massive fan of cleaning pellets necessarily, but again, they'll do a bit of a job. £3.90. They must be years old. Amazing. Got some pull-through patches here, so I've just cut these up. I think these are Napier, maybe rifle clean patches, which are about the right thickness that you need for a 177 air rifle barrel. So I usually cut them up about 20-30 at a time. When I pull my barrel through, you know, I suppose pulling it through once would effectively be pulling it through 3 times for me, for 3 of those patches, I should say. I've got some VP90 field patches here. As we said, obviously the oil, just if you've had a, again, rainy day, you've been out, maybe sort of hunting even, then again, you don't want to put the gun back in, wipe it over with a field patch. Hopefully all will be well. What else we got in here? Oh, this is interesting. So I'm going to do a review on my current field target setup, but I've got a stripper cone, which is screwable. I don't think I've got the spare in here actually, but it's a screwable cone. So basically this is the key that you can use to adjust how far in or out or away from the barrel, into the barrel effectively, the cone sits. And that should, I'm told, change the sort of group sizes and patterns. So again, another potential video there. Another little key there, not sure what that one's for, to be honest. Oh, got a little piece of negative here, film negative, which you can use to pack out your scope. So obviously if you put your scope on, you can't quite get it optically zeroed. You don't want to go too far towards the end of the tolerances. So you might want to pack your front or rear mounts, and yeah, film negative, really good for that. Pop that there. I think that's a barrel weight or a weight for the butt hook, I think, on my Anschutz, possibly from my 10-meter rifle actually. Just got what looked like various M4 and M5 bolts, pretty universal. Little seal kit here, a few seals. Always keep these little silica gel things, very handy for this type of setup. So I've got a little Anschutz. This will basically purge your air cylinder. If you need it to, you just screw it on the end and it'll purge the air out. Sorry, you probably didn't need that sound effect. But it'll purge the air out the end for you safely, so that's good. A couple of little grub screws. What are they for? What are they for? They're tiny. Not sure, can't remember. Oh yeah, essential. I've got an illuminated reticule on my Citron, so you can never have too many batteries. Also, there's 3 of us in our club that shoot with the Citron, and invariably at least one of us will have left a battery on every week over the weekend. So we all carry spare batteries, and then one of us we know will have be able to sort us out. A little Kent Woodman badge there, lovely, which is my club. Some nail varnish here. No, I'm not going that way, but use this basically if I've written my references on my tape, and then obviously to waterproof them, then just drop a little tab of nail varnish, and that will seal them for you. Got some Anschutz grease here. This is like the white grease. Don't really use this much. Again, a few more seals in there. Little loopholed scope cleaning, lens cleaning pen. So little brush there. Just get the dust out. I think on here, yeah, we got a little lens cleaner. You can see that, which is pretty handy. Not sure where I picked that one up from. Probably I did spent many years shooting loophole scopes. Beautiful optics. So it's probably come from that. I've got a spare Anschutz cocking arm. You never know. These things could break. So I didn't even know I had that in there, but there we go. Oh, this is an interesting one if I can get it out. Oh, it seems to have stuck to the side of things. A little Doughty seal there. I think probably if you're shooting more of the old Pro Target type of filler, you'll need those there. And yeah, a balloon. So the balloon's an interesting one. So basically, just keep that in your kit. This one's had it, but yeah, keep that in your kit. And then if you think you've got a leak on your cylinder, first thing I'd do, pop that over the end because it's likely to be coming out the end of the valve. Tighten an elastic band around it, leave it for a bit. If you come back and your balloon's blown up, you're right, you do have a leak at the end of your valve. A little bit of parcel tape for some reason there. Another battery, this one is for the laser rangefinder. Again, you don't want to get caught short, keep a spare with you. This is my pull-through cable. So again, I might do a little vid on this. You probably can't really see it against this backdrop, but basically you want to get some Conga trace or something like that. I've got a little guide because, as I say, I've got an adjustable stripper cone, so I can obviously pop it in. That goes through the cone, comes up at the end of the barrel, and then I can just feed it through like that. Pop that over there. Screwdriver. This one I think my dad has just filed down for me. Basically fits my power adjuster at the back of the Anschutz. Now obviously you're going to want a couple of pens if you're out on the range, just to obviously mark up some cards, etc. Or of course for doing a nice fine one for doing your range markings, permanent markers, but still put the nail varnish on them as well. Oh, I probably shouldn't have this in there. So I think I had this in there to make up some kind of range marker. Just a bit of spare, but that should go back in my main parts box. Just a Stanley blade. So if you're putting your tape on, then you want to cut it round off the end of the wheel. Nice sharp blade there for that. Got a little ruler, nice metal one. Again, if you're marking up your targets, or you want to mark your wheel, you want a nice clean edge, so always handy. A few little cotton swabs. Use these more with my 2.2 rimfire, but again, very handy just to clean those hard to reach parts. Got a little lens cleaner wipe here that I might want to use on the scope. And that's it really, just a couple of cable ties there. I want a 2p piece, just in case, because again on my illuminated reticule on the Cytron, that's got a little slot that you can use. And obviously if you use a screwdriver, you're going to damage it, and you're going to mark it up basically, whereas a 2p piece happens to fit absolutely perfectly. Okay guys, so that's it from me. This wraps up my little tour of my Field Target range bag. Essentially, as I say, you really want to just take just enough with you. You don't want to weigh yourself down like a pack animal, but at the same time, as I say, if you've driven all the way to the range, or a competition, which could be many, many hours away, you don't want to find yourself getting caught short, not having the proper tools and kit to correct any sort of issues or problems that you might have. Like I kind of mentioned before with the batteries, I carry all this kind of stuff, all my mates carry all this kind of stuff, and then the chances are, whatever the issue is, one of you will have the right sort of tool to do the job, so strength in numbers. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was informative. If you have got any questions or queries, feel free to pop me a comment below. But until then, shoot safe, and I'll see you in the next one.